Okay, welcome back to coaching video number 5, the last training in the coaching process. Okay, so let's get started. To build your coaching clientele, ask your friends, family, and contacts for referrals. This is a great way to start. Your coaching business obviously will really grow as you get referrals from clients and outside sources. But in the beginning, just like we all do in any business. And if you haven't started a business, maybe you don't know this, but typically small business people, we just tell everybody we know so we can survive. Hey, we're in business, come support us any way you possibly can, or let people know we're doing this. So that's something you want to do right off the bat to get started. Don't feel bad about it because everyone does it in the beginning. So talk to your friends, family, contacts, coworkers, anybody, and say, I need help, I need referrals. And typically, you'll get enough, and then once you get enough success in the coaching process, then you'll get organic referrals outside of your family, friends, and network. Set speeches up. This is another great marketing tool, especially this really should be something that's ongoing unless you're so busy you just don't have time to do it. But typically, this is one of the most powerful things you can do in marketing as a coach. Set speeches up at local civic and networking clubs to attract clients. This is one of the best ways I ever, accumulated coaching prospects, especially in the beginning of my career. I went to Rotary clubs all over Florida and Kiwanis clubs all over Florida. I spoke at chambers of commerce all over, and I developed tons of clients just by giving speeches about what I talked about with some benefit for that audience. The biggest thing with civic clubs that you have to know, if you don't know how civic clubs sort of operate internally, is the main thing they're concerned with, believe it or not, when outside speakers come in is, what are you trying to sell us? They just have this big thing, which I think is a little ridiculous, but they have a big thing against the speakers coming in trying to sell something like it's illegal or something like that to sell. I don't really get it. I never have. But I did develop a ton of clients. And really all you have to do is make it interesting, make the speech interesting for the members of the club. So for example, what I would talk about was, I had 2 topics. One was mental toughness, and then one was public speaking, since I was running the Bill Grove Speech Workshop. And at that time, actually, Bill was alive, and we were traveling around the country speaking, and I was seeing the power of delivering a speech and what it could do for people's business. So I knew Rotary people and Kiwanis people would be interested in growing their practices, because typically in those clubs, you have a dentist and you have a chiropractor and you have a financial advisor and you have a plumber and you have the mayor of the town and the police chief and the fire chief and and different people, that they have one member of each occupation typically, so they don't compete with each other. But obviously they're always trying to, for the most part, people are trying to get more business. I think, that's typically why people join those clubs. Not always, but a lot of times. So I just set it up for public speaking for leadership. They liked it because they got a benefit. And then I talked about the coaching I did around it. And it was certainly one of the best marketing, probably the number 2 or 3 best marketing strategy that I ever employed. So set up those speeches. Usually they're, networking clubs typically are like 5 minutes, sometimes a little shorter. You kind of introduce yourself, got it kind of fast. Civic clubs are typically 15 to 20 minute speeches. Very rarely do they ever exceed 20 minutes because people have to go back to work. They're usually lunch meetings or breakfast meetings. Okay, civic clubs, as I said, civic clubs speeches are typically 20 minutes long. Networking meetings speeches are usually 5 minutes. Make sure your speech establishes your credibility as a coach. Why should people listen to you? Establish your credibility. You have to entertain the audience at least a little bit, okay, to keep their attention. And then make sure more than anything else that the speech, as I just said a second ago, is benefit driven. There has to be a benefit for the members of the club. And if there's not, they probably won't have you speak, frankly. But the bigger benefit that you can generate, for the members, the better. So it's got to be something that they benefit from, where you can also promote, and it's sort of a cross benefit. And honestly, if you do it right, they never even see what you're promoting yourself, really. And then if that's the case, if you make it that good of a speech, then where they don't see it as a promotion that you're pushing your coaching services or anything else for that matter, then they'll recommend you, if you ask them, to other clubs. And that's the key to the whole thing, is to get in that network. I spoke at over 200 Rotary clubs in 13 months trying to build myself up as a speaker and as a coach and as an author. And it was, that was a lot of work, and a lot of Kiwanis clubs as well. I don't know how many Kiwanis clubs, but probably 60 or 70, I suppose, something like that. And they recommended, the reason I had so many numbers so fast is because they would recommend me, or I would ask them, hey, can you recommend me to this club, that club, whatever. And I would call the clubs and I would say, hey, I just spoke over in, Boca Raton. Is there any way you guys would be interested in the Fort Lauderdale club and having me come in and speak? And usually the answer was yes, because they'd either call Boca Raton or some club I just spoke to, and they would get the okay, and then I would come in. They're always looking for speakers, so it's not like they're not looking for programs. And the program chair, the people that are responsible, or the person responsible usually for booking the speakers, it's a volunteer deal, and they're busy. They just want to get it done, so they want someone good, but they want to get it done. So they're looking for people, and it's a free speech. You get a rubber chicken breakfast, lunch, or dinner, but it's a free speech, and you usually can't eat it because you're going to speak, and you don't want to have, food and, be dealing with food and everything. All of a sudden you're on stage and you're halfway done with your meal, and you got food in your teeth and all that. So typically you're doing it for free is my point, but it is well worth it. No question about that, but make sure it's benefit driven. Okay. To stay in contact with prospective coaching clients, build an email list. At this point in technology, I would say for the last 25 years, ever since really I started my business, about 25 years ago, my speaking, writing, and coaching business, email lists have been the thing, and they still are really. It's a much more difficult process than it used to be because now they give content away, like on YouTube and, social media platforms all over. We all know the story. They give so much content away, and we do too because we have to, because our competitors do, where we used to sell all this stuff to people. And so it's a much different business than it used to be. And it's honestly, it's very heavily, it leans very heavily into coaching right now, because coaching is something when you do it one-on-one with people and even in groups, you can't really give away. Not really, because it's specific to the person or to the group. So that's one of the things that has helped. But still, having an email list and building an email list, you got to give them something, make sure you're giving them something that's really worth them being contacted every single week or twice a week or whatever you're going to do in terms of your mailing. I've always done once a week. I've heard other people say twice a week's better, 3 times a week is better. And I've had people say every day is better. I haven't found that. I found people opt out, but you kind of have to decide what you want to do. Look into it. Do some research is the best way to do it. We certainly sold millions of dollars over email lists over the years, but there are people that sold more. So, and it's changed a lot, So I would look into that, but you certainly want to build an email list, because that's a list you own, as opposed to social media, which if they change the rules, you don't own that list. You don't have those names. It's just a number you have on your X, your Twitter, or your YouTube, or LinkedIn, or Facebook, or Threads, or whatever it may be. All right. You own the email list. You own those email addresses in terms of being able to reach out to them. So, make sure you're careful so you don't lose people, but you definitely want to build an email list. Once your clients begin getting positive results from your coaching, be sure to gather video testimonials. Over the course of the last 30 plus years, I've gathered so many testimonials in so many ways. Just, with technology, we used to have 800 numbers you used to call. And like for the Bill Gove Speech Workshop, for example, we had a list of, went on for like an hour of people that would call in and record and say, I went to the Bill Gove Speech Workshop. It was the greatest program I've ever been to. And now I'm making $400,000 a year as a professional speaker. And my name's Bob, and I'm from Tucson, Arizona. Thank you. And people would just listen, on the phone to these audio testimonials. Well, now we have video. Now you just tape them right on your phone, right? I mean, when we were doing the live Bill Gove workshops for so many years, probably for the last, I would say, 10 years, 8 years, whatever it was, we would just have the people, come out of the program after they graduated from the workshop and just say, hey, I've got a microphone, and it attaches to my phone, and can I just shoot you giving us a testimonial for the workshop? Then I put them on YouTube, or I put them on our website, and it was just great. Well, now you can just do that so easily. They made it so easy. So get testimonials from people saying, hey, you're the greatest coach in the world, or I got this result, or whatever it is, because that will probably be one of the best, if not the best ways to get new clients. In addition to establishing yourself by posting regularly on LinkedIn, and you want to be on LinkedIn because it's a business platform as opposed to Facebook or other platforms like Instagram that are not really business platforms. I mean, there are business people on there, but LinkedIn is really, at this point, is, in my opinion, the most business-oriented platform. So you want to be on there. It's a more serious social media platform. So you want to post regularly. You want to build a following on LinkedIn. There's no question. But in addition to posting, I would recommend publishing a weekly newsletter. I've been doing it for a long time. It's really good. You develop followers, and they learn your philosophy. So you can write 500-word articles. You can write articles of any kind, but I would recommend maybe 500 words, not too long, not too short, and publish them on LinkedIn for free. And remember, LinkedIn is a huge site. Those things show up on search. So for your SEO, that's your search engine optimization. That's a big deal. Okay. So this will help you construct your content, build your LinkedIn list, and develop a LinkedIn list of followers. And that's something that you really want. Again, you don't own this list like an email list. It's a social media platform, but still, LinkedIn followers, in terms of business, probably have more value than any other social media platform, at least at this time. Of course, it always changes. But LinkedIn's been in the lead for, I would say 20 years, at least 20 years. So there hasn't been anything really like LinkedIn. They've tried. There are a lot of things that have been tried, as you probably know, if you've been around social media for a while. But nothing's really stuck like LinkedIn in terms of business-oriented platforms. So you want to build up your followers on LinkedIn. Set up your coaching business YouTube channel and start posting long and short form videos on your coaching content so prospective clients can see you in action. YouTube is great because it's a visual medium. And as speakers, coaches, and writers, we want people to see and hear what we have to say. You're not selling aluminum siding. You're not selling some product, a weight loss product or or you might be, but you're a coach as well. Okay, you're selling, in this context, you're selling coaching services. You're not selling, you are the product, is the point. And so you want them to hear you and see you in action, just like you're hearing and seeing me. And you can always go to my YouTube channel. It's the International Personal Development Association, Steve Siebold, type it in. You can see mine, and you can see a lot of other people's, obviously. And it's really valuable because they see you in action. And don't be afraid to get on camera and make mistakes. Don't be afraid to get criticism in your comments. Make sure that you're responding to your comments, and that's something we'll talk about more. But because you want to keep engagement really going, and YouTube is powerful. To me, this is my opinion. I think you'd have a hard time arguing against this, again, at this particular time, knowing how technology changes. For speakers, writers, and coaches, our best two platforms are YouTube and LinkedIn. YouTube, they get to see and hear us. LinkedIn, they can as well, but it's more of a business networking platform, as we said. So those two are critical. So I'll tell you exactly what I do. You can follow this. I post on LinkedIn, I post on YouTube, and then I share it on LinkedIn pretty much every single day, almost 7 days a week, because I want that same content to be on all the time, and it really works well. And so, but you want them to see you in action. That's why your YouTube channel is critical. Let me say this, okay? If you've been doing this for a while on YouTube, you know this already, but the biggest complaint that I've heard, at least, about YouTube, I am not a social media expert, just so you know. But I've done a lot on social media. I've profited off social media at a pretty good clip. But that doesn't make me an expert. But I will say that the biggest criticism that I've heard about YouTube, and I think it's true, is it's slow building. It's slow building. There are people, obviously with millions of hits, but in followers and subscribers, I should say, is what it is. But it takes time. It really does. I suppose if you're a famous person or you're showing funny videos or something entertaining or salacious, then I suppose you build up followers faster. But from what I hear, and my experience has been the same way, I didn't really start focusing on YouTube and LinkedIn really any social media in any meaningful way, except over the last couple of years, because the business changed so much that we were looking for kind of a new clientele, frankly. And so, but I found that, and a lot of people get discouraged because they say it takes so long getting like 5 subscribers a month or a day or whatever. And I found the same thing. It is slow, but it's not that you need 1 million followers. You just need people that can become clients or become fans or buy your products or engage your coaching services or your speaking or your writing, anything else. I sell a lot of books from social media. I have 12 books out there and I promote them on social media all the time. And it works. I mean, it definitely works. So it works. Is it frustrating? It can be, depending on the way you look at it. You see the other people with all these, subscribers, but it's a little bit of a grind. And a lot of people that I've talked to quit. They just quit YouTube. And I don't think as speakers, writers, and coaches that we can afford to. It's free. I mean, yeah, it can be a little frustrating. Yeah, it takes a little time to do it, but it's a heck of a medium for what we do because we are the product. So I'll leave it at that. But I would just caution you, just try not to become frustrated. I have become frustrated myself, by the way, so I'll cop to that. But I try to keep going, because I think it's so valuable. Remember, you don't need 1 million subscribers. You just need the right subscribers. Okay, create a Canva account. If you're not familiar with Canva, it's basically like what we used to pay a graphic artist to do. You learn how to do your own slides, your own graphics, your own posts, your own covers for your YouTube videos, all your different things. And so it's great because you can do it yourself if you want to. If you have a staff to do it, great. We used to have a staff to do it. I do it myself now because I just don't want staff anymore. I'm just past that point. I've had staff for 25 years. Not really my thing anymore. But you can do a lot on your own, and it's pretty easy to learn. And it's very, very inexpensive. It's like $20 a month. Or you can get a free version as well. I had the free version for a long time, and it was fine. Okay, so create a Canva account at www.canva.com, canva.com, and start posting your own quotes and quotes from other people that match your success philosophy. Place them on an attractive graphic on Canva and post them on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, Pinterest, X, LinkedIn, and all the other social media outlets that you have an account with. Okay, and you do this to promote your philosophy. So it's there's lots of reasons to use Canva because you can save yourself so much time and money doing it. It's kind of fun too if you enjoy that kind of thing. I've enjoyed doing it, but most of it because your philosophy and your coaching style and your persuasiveness and your candor and your bedside manner, if you want to call it that, is effectively your product. You are the product. So if you put what I'll do sometimes is I'll go on Canva and I'll put a picture of one of my books on there. Then I'll put a quote from the book, and I won't put Steve Siebold on there. The book's obviously my name is on the cover of the book, so they can see it's me. But I'll just put like a quote on there. Then I'll post that on all my different social media platforms, and just a great promotion for the book. And it's a great quote. Let's say, hopefully, it's a great quote. Okay, it's a great way to post and promote your philosophy, and that's really what it's about. It's promoting your philosophy. Do they want to do business with you? Okay, respond to as many comments, as I said earlier, respond to as many comments posted on your social media as possible to increase engagement. The more you comment, the more they go back and forth with you, whether the comments are against you or for you. I have a lot of comments I say sometimes people think are controversial things. I don't think they're that controversial, but some people do. And people will come at me. And that sometimes is where I get the most engagement. Good, bad, or in between. I'm also looking for a certain clientele, and I think you should too. I'm looking for a highly educated, open-minded, I don't want to sound like an elitist because that's what people have called me over the years, but I'm not trying to, that's not the point. I want a smart clientele. I'm just going to say it that way. That sounds elitist. I know it just does, but that's what I want. I mean, I might as well just give it to you. If that's elitist, I guess it's elitist, but I don't want people that can't put two and two together because I don't need to coach people at that level. They're not going to pay what I charge. Okay. There's no way they're most likely going to be able to afford it. Okay, I'm not looking for bumpkins that just fell off the truck. I want people that are already really smart and good at what they do because I can help them take it to the next level, usually, if it's in my, if it's in my scope of work. So I know that. So if I say something that I think is right and people come at me with ridiculous comments, I'll feed back. I mean, I'll engage them for sure, but that's not my clientele. So when people say, well, you're going to lose people if you're controversial on these posts, I don't care if I lose people, because those are not the people I want to get. Those are not the people that I want as clients. I don't want those people. I just don't. I don't need it. You don't need them all. I don't need them all. You don't need them all. You need surprisingly few people to have a 6 or 7 figure coaching business. You don't need that many, because how many people can you coach? There's only so much coaching you can do. It's pretty limited that way. Now, you can still certainly make a really good living at it, because you can just keep raising your prices as you reduce the amount of people you work with, and you get pickier. I hardly take anybody. I mean, I've turned down way more people, especially people that want to be in the fee-paid speaking business. I've been in for a long time. I've earned millions and millions of dollars. Very few people have ever done that. People have, but it's 1% of the industry. Okay, so I have a track record is my point. And so I get a lot of people that contact me and they want to be speakers apprentices and they want me to coach them and do all these things. And I turn down 95% of them because they can't make it. I don't think they can make it. And I'm not going to coach someone that's going to fail, because that hurts them, it hurts me, and they're wasting their money. I'm wasting my time. So it's a different way to look at it. You just don't need everyone. So you want to increase engagement with your comments, but don't be afraid to take a stand. You're a coach. You're a leader. Take a stand. Don't try to be everything to everyone, because you will fail as a thought leader. Because by definition, you're not leading thought if you're following the masses. The masses can be clueless. I mean, I know that sounds like an elitist comment, and I guess it is. I mean, I get it. But I think that you could make a pretty good case with evidence to support it, that the masses are not really up on things for the most part. I'm looking for the classes. I'm looking for people that really are dialed in. And so if I post something, and I get this all the time, and I used to get it even more when I was doing television, at some point during my media campaigns for books, during over a course of about 15 straight years, we were hitting, when I say we, I mean me and my publicist, we were hitting numbers like 50 million people a year were seeing me on television. And I'm not a celebrity. That's the most amazing part. If I was a celebrity, it'd be different. I mean, that's, people watch celebrities. But I'm not a celebrity. I do 3 shows a day sometimes, through TV shows, radio shows, print, all kinds. I did tons of interviews at the Wall Street Journal, Fox News. I used to be on Fox News, Fox Business Network, all the time. It was a regular thing. And people would come at me, And so, and then what they would say, the most common thing, the immature people, the goofballs say, is they'll say, well, I'm no longer going to buy your books. I love your books, but now that you said this about this topic, about this presidential candidate, or, this person, or you have this philosophy, I'm no longer buying your books. They're like 4-year-olds. Here's a pro tip. You don't want to coach 4-year-olds. I don't think you do, And if you're just saying, well, if the long as they're paying, I'm coaching them, don't do that. That's the biggest mistake. That's the biggest rookie mistake you can make, is to say, I'll take anybody because I need the business. Don't do that, because you're going to fail. If they fail, you fail. You don't get referrals, your business dies. And then, worst case scenario, they go out and tell people you suck as a coach because they failed. Do you think they're going to blame themselves? No, they're not going. The goofballs don't. They don't blame themselves. They blame you. They wasted their money on you, the coach. Don't do it. Look for certain people. You'll eliminate people by taking a stand. And even people that disagree with you, if they're mature adults, what they'll say is, you know what, I don't agree with this person, but I respect the fact that they stood up and took a stand, had some guts, and we're terrified of being criticized by people online. You're establishing yourself by doing this as a leader. Okay, all right, I won't go on any more about that, but I just want you to think about it, because you're either a thought leader or you're a thought follower. And I'll be honest with you, most coaches, most speakers, and most writers in our business are not thought leaders. I think they're nice people. I've been doing this a long time. I've met thousands of them all over the world. I've spoken at meetings all over for National Speakers Association and every other group out there practically over the years. Because when you succeed at the 7-figure level, you're an anomaly. So people want to know what you're doing, right? And they're not. They're not thought leaders. They're thought followers. They're just following conventional thought, which makes them not worthless, but it brings down their value in the marketplace. Let's be honest. If I can read it in a book and I don't need you to coach me, then why am I paying you? I'll just buy the book, So you want to be a thought leader, and that means you're going to take shots. You're going to take arrows. People are going to comment, and they're going to criticize you. If they're not criticizing you, you're not taking a stand. You're not pushing it far enough. You're not a leader. You're not leading thought. You are following thought, if everyone agrees with you. So just something to think about. This is one of my pet peeves about coaches, speakers, and writers, because most of them are weak. They're just not strong. They're not strong enough to stand up, which means they don't get the business they want, and they're confounded by it. They can't figure out why they can't get business. Well, because they're not leading anything. They're following people. And followers are not good coaches. Okay. All right. Respond. Oh, I talked about that, right. Contact as many traditional mass media outlets, the traditional media, radio, TV, etc. Contact as many of them as you can, or hire a publicist. I always had a publicist up until about a year ago when I semi-retired. I had a publicist for 15 plus years. And I didn't do it in the beginning because I couldn't afford it. But it was one of the best things I ever did. They're not cheap, okay? You could be anywhere from, say, $3,000 a month to $10,000 a month. So in the beginning, that can be pricey, unless you have that kind of money. And if you do, I would highly recommend it. The person I recommend over anyone in the country, I'll give you a specific recommendation, is Bruce Urban. Bruce Urban. He's been my publicist forever. He was forever. He's a great guy. He is the best publicist in the country for our business, in my opinion. Bruce Serbin, Serbin. Just Google him. You'll find him out there. Contact him. He's the best in the business. Okay. So the reason you want to either contact media, traditional mass media, or get a publicist to contact them for you is to attract interviews on television, radio, podcasts is another one, and then print or online. Everything above. That was my marketing for 15 years. Just media. That's it. And I did it almost not every day, but almost every day, and during book tours, multiple interviews a day, sometimes 4 or 5 a day. You're reaching people all over the place. It doesn't always, create the level of sales, especially with books, that you'd expect. Like when I went on Good Morning America the first time, I thought, I better order thousands of books here, and I didn't have that many books. So I had the booking in advance, and I brought 2,000 books. I ordered 2,000 books to be shipped after Good Morning America, and I sold about 200. And I thought, Good Morning America, and it was a pretty good interview, the first one. And I sold about 200, tops 200, not much more than that. I thought it'd be at least 2,000. Today's show I've done many times, same thing, a couple hundred bucks here and there. It's not to sell books. You don't go on TV to sell books. You sell books to get on TV. Think about that, okay? If you own the rights to your book, you make $3 or $4 or $5 a book, okay? Now, they're an annuity, believe me, I can retire. I basically have on my book sales, and some other authors can. If you sell enough books, we sell books every day, all over the world. Every single day, 24 hours a day, the books are selling. Okay, some better than others for sure. But they're an annuity. They're powerful. But that said, you make a lot more money giving speeches and a lot more money doing coaching than you will selling books, most likely, unless you have just an absolute runaway bestseller, which is unlikely in our field, because there's only so much personal development information out there. You're saying that we're all saying kind of the same thing in a different way. So it's not like technology where it's changing and that type of thing. So it's hard to come out with something so different that people go, oh my God, that's like the greatest thing ever. And one of the most popular personal development books of all time, if you think about it, is Think and Grow Rich. Well, it's been out since 1936. It's almost 100 years old. So, and you can tell by the writing, it's a very good book, but Napoleon Hill, the author, said it pretty well there, and said I don't think it's been said much better than that. Some people would disagree, but point of it is you want to get on media, TV, radio, podcasts, print, online, for credibility than for book sales or any other sales. It's more to establish you as an expert, yourself as an expert. And so it's more about that than it is about selling anything. But, the sales do happen. Okay, add a media button on your coaching website and post your interviews to establish your credibility. Same thing, right? That's what I'm saying. Credibility sells. Credibility sells. I would write that on a Post-it note and put it in your office. Credibility sells. Nothing sells like credibility. If people think you've got a track record and you do have a track record and you're on TV and you're on radio, they see you all the time. I remember bumping into Les Brown, the motivational speaker I worked with. We did a movie together. We did the Beyond the Secret movie. If you saw the movie The Secret with Bob Proctor, my old friend and mentor, and other people, they had a follow-up movie called Beyond the Secret. And I wasn't in The Secret, but I was in the follow-up movie with Les Brown and Bob Proctor. It was nowhere near as popular, but we were in that movie together. And Les is a great motivational speaker. We've worked on a couple of conventions together. And I bumped into Les in LA and at LAX going through the airport. This is years ago, like 15 years ago. And Les said, "You are everywhere." I said, what do you mean? And he speaks way more than I ever did. So he's speaking in a lot more places, or it sure seemed like it, than I ever did. I mean, I was always really busy, but I didn't bounce around as much. Motivational speakers go from place to place. I was doing long-term consulting with companies, turnarounds, stuff like that. These guys give 45-minute speeches and go to the next town. So they bounce around like a pinball. It's not a great business model, but, that's part of the business. And he's probably, certainly one of the best that ever has done it. And then he said, "You're everywhere." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Every time I turn on the TV in a hotel room or turn on the radio or I hear you on a podcast or something in print, you're in the Wall Street Journal all the time." He goes, "How do you get to all these outlets? I mean, how are they interviewing you all the time?" And we had this conversation about it, but it was because we pushed the media for credibility. And that was one of the keys to me raising my fees. And so for years and years, I had, and I probably do now still, I haven't checked for a while, but I have the same fee as Brian Tracy. Brian Tracy has way more followers than I've ever had. Way more of almost in every single category, except I've been exposed to the public a lot more than Brian has, most likely just because of the media. But so I was able to raise my speaking fee to the same fee as Brian because of that alone. It's pretty amazing when you think about it, how powerful the media can be. So, but it's more about credibility. So add a media button. So when people click on the media button and you post your TV interviews and your radio interviews and your print online, and let them see you're everywhere. Don't just tell them. A lot of people say, as seen on NBC, CBS. Anyone can do that. Show them the actual interview. Let them watch it. I have a site called SteveOnTV.com. When you get let's say over 100 interviews, I would come up with whatever your name is, ontv.com or something like that, and build a whole website just for your media. If you have enough. I think I have 300 interviews on this site right now from all over the world. All TV. SteveOnTV.com. I've used it for, 15 plus years, I suppose, something around there. And it's been one of the most valuable things I've ever done. It doesn't sell anything. We don't sell anything. I just send people, when I get calls for speaking, and I'm up against speakers sometimes that are bigger names, I'll say, you know what? Typically, when the press has there's some kind of story in the news, whether it's political or it's something else about mental toughness or resilience or anything like that, we typically get the call for the interview. And if you want to see my last 300 television interviews, I'm talking to the client now, you can go to SteveOnTV.com. SteveOnTV.com. You can see me. I've done interviews all over the world, and you can see all by city. And they go there. And they I don't know how many they watch, but they watch it. And usually I get the speaking date because they see the media calls me first, and they usually do on my topic. But I show it to them. I don't just say I was there. I say, watch the interview. Watch me on Good Morning America. Watch me on the Today Show. Okay? If you want to build a site like that, wait until you have enough media, enough TV. Go to Steve on TV and check it out. And you can see it. And then just copy it. Copy that basic idea. And it's been worth millions and millions of dollars to us. Literally. Just crazy. Okay. In addition to getting business through organic referrals, build your own paid referral network. Paid referrals are a gold mine. And I've spoken about this to speakers groups all over, coaches groups, writers groups even. And I said, if you build a paid network, basically you do deals with people and just say, look, if you can, in terms of coaching, you say, hey, look, I'm looking for coaching clients. If you get me someone, I'll pay you 10% of the contract or whatever deal you want to come up with. I won't get into the deals of this because that's a whole conversation would go on for hours. But we typically paid them a percentage, 5 to 10% of the gross amount of money that we did with a client that they recommended. And sometimes the highest one we paid was $50,000 that was a speaker's contract. It was a consulting contract, but it can be small numbers too. And now you got people bird dogging for you as a coach. Okay. And you can do this with your speaking, obviously, too, and your writing. And it fills in the gap between organic, natural referrals. If you've got plenty of organic referrals, God bless you. You don't have to worry about this. But if you're looking for business, pay people to bird dog for you. It's found money. You don't have to pay them unless they attract a client to you, send you a client, and then you get the client. They actually pay. So the money's coming from the client. You're not paying out of your pocket. So it's we built a $1 million business on paid referrals alone for many years. It was really, really, really good. Okay. Network with other success coaches to exchange business building ideas. Why join these different networking groups? You can do it over Zoom now so many times. You want to exchange ideas, see what they're doing. I did that with speakers groups, and a National Speakers Association was one of them. There's coaching organizations out there. Get business building ideas and exchange them, because people typically are pretty open about it. I mean, everyone's an individual, so there's plenty of business out there. You're not all going after the same client. And so it's people can be pretty open. Professional associations are really good that way typically. So get ideas from other people. I've taken a lot of ideas from people. I've given a lot of ideas away, and it can be powerful. I would recommend joining networking clubs like, I think, Business Network International, or BNI, the brainchild of Ivan Meisner. I've known for a long time. He's a great guy. BNI is all over the world. It's a good one, and they really do promote small business together. And so you're going to pick people up. Now, once you get to a certain fee level, you're going to probably outgrow a BNI. But in the beginning, it's not the worst idea you want to turn yourself into a quasi-celebrity in this business. That's one of the keys. Like, I'm not a celebrity, but to several 100,000 people a month at one time were reading my books, buying my stuff. And you don't need to be Tom Cruise, or some super famous person. You just need to be famous to your fan base. Be a celebrity, so to speak, in your fan base. That's what you're looking for. So in the beginning, groups like BNI, where you're charging lower fees, you get local people. You might be coaching somebody running the dry cleaners or the grocery store, or a manager at the mayor of the town, or something like that. Typically, those are for smaller clients to start with. You might get a bigger client, but typically they're for smaller business, but they're great to start with. So I'd recommend joining that. Doesn't cost much money. You go to the meetings, and they're very professional. BNI is really good. There are other ones, of course. The business networking. Type in business networking groups in your area, and you'll find lots of them, most likely, depending on where you live. And generate leads. I mean, it's all for generating leads. End of the day. Okay, establish your coaching fees for, I would recommend, 30 and 60-minute sessions. You can do the coaching in 30 minutes if you don't BS around. Okay, if you really get to it, you can do it in 30 minutes. Remember, you got to prep for these calls. If they're calls or they're one-on-one in person, or they're on Zoom, you still have to prep. And usually it's at least 50% of the time, that it takes you to actually do the call. You're prepping because you got to get ready with questions and see what the person's done in terms of what they were supposed to do from last time, and whatever your coaching process is. Everyone's different. Okay, but they're intense. But 30 to 60 minutes, I would approach. I would create your fee structure based on 30 and 60-minute sessions. Okay, factor in the additional 50 to 100% of the time it's going to take you to prepare. But what you're trying to do is basically base your fee on expertise, experience, and mostly results, because that's really what it comes down to. I mean, my last speaker's apprentice, to give you an idea, made $9.5 million last year. Okay. Now, if I was really coaching at a real heavy level, if I really wanted to, stay in that, I'm semi-retired now, but if I was really full blown into that business, I'd be marketing that all over the place. My number 2 guy made $7 million last year. Okay. And they give me a lot of credit for that business, right? I mean, for that, for their level of expertise and whatnot. So when you get results like that, you can pull people in. And you don't have to have those kind of results. You might get them, you might not. But we did the same thing in corporate America, with doing turnarounds. We'd raise sales by $100 million over 12 months or 18 months, whatever it might be. we took that from companies like Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, Microsoft, and we said, hey, here's what we did over at Johnson & Johnson. Hire us and we'll do the same for you. There's nothing that sells like results. No question about it. So the better results you have, the higher fees you can get. So you're looking for results. That's why you got to pick the right people to coach that are serious and are not playing games, because when they succeed, you succeed. And when they fail, you fail. You're not getting the results. So you need to get the results, and you want people that can get, the biggest results you can possibly coach them around. Okay, so it's all really base your fees on your expertise, experience, and mostly results. Okay, to get an idea of how much you should be charging, I would go online and investigate the industry. See what people are personal coaching, professional coaches. See what other people are charging. Call the coach up and say, if they don't publish their fees, and say, what do you charge? Well, I'm looking around, that kind of thing. And just see what other people are charging. You might be surprised how much some people charge. There's a lot of money to be made in this business, relatively speaking. I'm relative to most jobs or businesses, small businesses. Okay. Now it's time consuming. It's tedious. You have to have a lot of patience. It's not like it's a free ride. Coaching is tough. I mean, there's nothing, when you're coaching at a high level, it's work, but it also pays well. And so I would go online and see what people are charging and that type of thing. You'll pick up. Now you can go online and do all this research. You couldn't do that back in the day when I started. So back in the old days, you couldn't do that. Now it's all at your fingertips, all for free. You can do all this research. So it's wonderful. Okay, the last couple. The more credibility you establish and the bigger results you get, the more you can charge. That's it. When I tell people my fee now, I take so few people, but when I tell them the fee now, they're like, well, I mean, that's a lot of money. I mean, well, yeah, well, here's what my clients have done. And you can ask them, I can show you video testimonials. You can call them and ask them. And so is it worth it if you get that kind of result? Well, of course it is. But again, it's all about results. That's really, at the end of the day, when they say, how can you charge this much? Or how do you justify your fee? And you go, well, here's why. Boom. And people go, oh, okay, I didn't know that. So that's the bottom line at the end of the day, results. Okay, and the last one is coach as many clients as you wish. But if the volume gets to be too much, cut back so you don't burn out. And I end the coaching with this, the coaching training with this, because this is the end result of success. The end result of success is you get a lot of clients, you're making a fair amount of money, okay? And you think, well, geez, I could raise my income by $100,000 this year, $200,000, whatever. Like if you're in business, we always seem to try to do bigger numbers the next year, right? You're always trying to grow. The thing is with being a coach is the coaching part of your business, and hopefully you're going to structure your business so you're speaking, you're writing. Writing is the heart, as you know, if you took the writing course. Right? If you didn't, you'll find this out. Writing is the heart of all this, because writing is what creates all the content. And then you coach around it and you speak around it. But the writing is where it all comes from. This is when you put it on paper, you put it in books, you put it on articles, these are your philosophies, And that's why people say, well, I don't want to be a writer. I don't want to write in this process. You don't have to be a great writer. You have to get things down on paper. You can always get people that are better writers if you're not a good writer to write your books. Okay, that's not a big deal, but you have to provide the philosophy. Nobody can do that for you. All right, and so what happens is, you build your coaching. The smartest way to do it, in my opinion, is you have a speaking component, a writing component, and books is what I'd recommend at the highest level. Okay, so one of the smartest things I ever did was to ignore people that said, "Oh, just have one book," or just your book is your business card. That's all it really means. That's BS. Okay, if you write good books, people will buy your book. Right now, people are reading my books all over the world, and I'm certainly not a famous person, but I don't have to be. There's a lot of people in the world, so I'm making money, just in my sleep with that, and have been for 20 years. And you can do the exact same thing. But the point of it is you want to have a balanced business so you don't burn out. Burnout is the enemy of really anyone in our business, especially because you are the product. You're the speaker, right? You're the writer. Typically, even if you get a ghost writer, you're still the one on the front of the book. Okay, they're ghosts. That's why they're ghost writers. They're ghosts. We don't put their names on there unless you want to, and most people don't. You're the speaker, you're the writer, and you're the coach. So you are the product, right? So one of the things you have to do is guard against burnout. Don't take too many clients. Bottom line, don't take too many speeches. Don't write too many books or too many, at one time. Like I'm really glad I've written 12 books because it's really served me over time and it's created, a lot of business and a lot of revenue and all the rest of it. And lots of good things like media and all the rest of it. It's been fantastic. But make sure you don't burn out, because if you burn out as the product, you're done. You're gonna be miserable, or you're gonna quit, and you don't want to do that. So I would reduce the number of almost everything. If you're gonna keep a higher number, keep a higher speech number, because there's more money in the speaking than anything else. But be careful. That's the one that when people say, when I retired, semi-retired last year, people said, well, don't you enjoy giving speeches still? Yeah, I still enjoy giving speeches. I've done a lot, thousands and thousands of them for money. I enjoy it. I've done it all over the world. I'm just tired of being on Delta. I feel like I own Delta Airlines, and it's a lot of travel. It's a lot of work, and it's fun, and I really enjoyed it. But as I've gotten older, it's just tiring, So, but I didn't burn out too many times. I tried to limit it. I wasn't perfect, but I tried to limit it. Limit the number of coaching clients, limit the number of speeches, limit the number of books that you publish at least at one time, or articles or newsletters or whatever. Try not to overwhelm yourself, because you're going for the long term, And if you really enjoy this business, I've enjoyed it for a long time. You'll enjoy it until the day you die. You can do it forever, especially now with the social media and and all the rest of it. It's amazing what we can do. We can speak and write and coach all over the world through technology. It's wonderful. Just don't burn yourself out. And this is why I end it with this, because I've been talking about marketing here most of this video, but yourself as a coach. But I don't want you to burn out, because so many people get so excited and then they just go, and they go, God, I'm so sick of this. It's easy to do. And by the time you recognize that you're burned out, it's usually too late. It's very hard to reverse burnout like that. Psychological burnout's all another subject, but that's part of mental toughness training, which I've done for 40 years, all over the world with athletes and companies and all that. And it's one of the things we talk about. When the performer finally realizes he or she is burned out, it usually takes months and months of just trying to do nothing almost to get them to come around where they feel once again excited and invigorated about the work. So try to avoid burnout, enjoy what you're doing, and you'll be happy with your coaching business and your speaking and your writing. Okay, so thanks for watching the coaching training, and good luck on the exam. You want to be a certified personal development professional. You can do it.